Hey, what's up? It's another episode of What You Strapping. These are not watch reviews, so just a quick wristwatch check with a strap pairing just to show the two together. Give you guys some options, some ideas perhaps on what you might want to do with a similar watch. Yeah, I would actually consider these. I've been saying for the last couple of these episodes that these could be considered extended reviews or basically supplemental information, like just ongoing user experiences, that kind of stuff. Because I will usually throw in some stuff that I got to say about this watch here, but or any watch in these series. So this is the Sinn 155S. Nicknamed the Bright Star. This is and also I guess it's considered, it's labeled as Revolution 2. Well, this is the second Sinn collab watch. The previous one was the Dark Star. There's a couple of differences regarding that, but this is the most recent version as of, it came out right around this time, I think last year. This right now I'm recording right around mid-March. I think it came out near this time, if not sometime in April. I remember it wasn't that much. It was just slightly before the wind-up in San Francisco last year, which was, I believe, in early May, if I recall correctly. So yeah, it's almost around about a year or so since it was originally released. And yeah, it's a limited edition of 300. I am surprised that I don't think all of them have sold out yet. I haven't checked the Revolution site where I got this from, but at least in the United States, Watch Buys is the only authorized dealer for Sinns and many other German watches, and they actually do have them in stock. Yeah, if you want one, you can still get one. They cost a little bit less at Watch Buys than they do at Revolution. But then again, you are going to be paying taxes on top of that. Um, uh, Even though it does start off cheaper, it might end up balancing about the same. 3,600 or so, I believe, from Revolution directly. 34 something, or maybe close to $3,500. I think it's just a hair under that, $3,500. I think at Watch Buys. But again, you're gonna pay taxes on that. I think it ended up being pretty close to the same price. But at the time, they didn't have available, so I just went with Revolution. And they were quick, like overnighted that stuff. It didn't take long, and all the import fees and stuff were covered too, so I didn't have to pay any of that also. So that was good. Not every place does that, but for the price of this watch and everything, I'm glad that they made it super convenient to be able to buy and not have to deal with the hassles of going, having this held up in customs and then having to pay imports before it be, well, whatever duties and fees before it be released. But anyways, so is such my experience with this so far, at least financially, when I bought it about a year ago. And this has been doing great so far. It's been holding, I think originally it was running a bit fast. Not super fast, by no means. It's well within cost. But I would say it was running about plus 3 4 3 seconds, and then went down to plus 2. But very, it didn't take long before I think it settled into basically roughly about plus 1 second a day, more or less. Since depending on the day and like how, I guess, what I'm doing, it might vary slightly. But overall, yeah, it's so far has been holding basically plus 1 second a day, which is awesome. Can't ask for much better than that, other than zero. But I'll take plus one. Just quickly talking about the strap, I have this on I believe it's pronounced Hēmsut. I believe that little line over the E makes it a long E sound, so it's not Hēmsut, I think it's Hēmsut. And this is the design or model is called the Smitha, I believe, Smitha. And this, like, if you've seen my last two videos with this watch, I've shown it on the other two colors. Last one was like an olive green or olive drab color. pretty cool. And then the previous one was a gray version, and that was also very nice. I think those 3 colors, including this black one here, are very well suited for this all black Sinn 155S. With the what I did recently was I actually bought all 3 colors previously in the large size, which measures from about 7, just a little over 7-inch wrist, 7.2 or 7.3. I think that was what it was. And my wrist is basically about 7 inches. So I was on the lower end, and then it goes up to, I don't know, 8 inches. But the large one I went with originally because I wanted this strap here, this part of it, to completely cover the loop part, I guess, of the hook and loop system, just so it wouldn't be exposed and it looked more complete to me. But I did find that since I was at the very extreme end of the smallest size, it wore just a bit too loose and didn't really have, it lacked a little bit of snugness, which being such a wide strap, although it is thin and very comfortable, it still is wide. Having it slightly loose does make it feel that much bigger. And I don't know, it felt a little bit cumbersome. I don't know, I just wanted it just a bit more secure. So I finally decided to rebuy these in the medium size, which is the smaller size, and they basically I think only have a large and a medium, and the maximum size is where the other one left off. So 7.3 should be the largest wrist size. My wrist size is 7, and you can see maybe on this side I'm just about passing the wrap around here. You don't want to get much past this larger part of the strap. I don't know if I can point that out to you, but anyways, I'm not that far off from the end. But it does leave a bit more loop, but that's okay. I think overall the fit feels better because it's more snug. It doesn't choke, it's not a tourniquet, but it is, I don't feel that little, just a hairy, not hairy, but just that a tiny bit of slack that the old fit, the larger size had for me. And that's better. It's just works better. And I also made some changes or mods to these last 3 straps. I mentioned it in the video, but I'll just quickly go over again. Like right by here, right by the lugs tips, I trimmed off a corner because it was just a straight, like 90-degree corner. That tended to catch and lift up, especially when I have long sleeve, and I do wear long sleeves a lot. And it just doesn't feel good, knowing that those corners on both sides would be catching on the inside of my longer sleeve. And also when I did clear it, during that time it would tend to lift that corner up, which doesn't look as good. So that's why I trimmed it back, and then I just made sure it didn't fray by just taking a little lighter to heat seal it, and then it kind of rounded itself out. It looks fine now, and it works a lot better. It doesn't catch anymore, and it's just much more lower profile, and I don't have any issues with the long sleeve now. And also there used to be a red tag on this side, and I just, as well as the other colors that I have, they had like a kind of corresponding tag, a color of tag that would come off on this end, and just it wasn't really tacked down. One side of it was kind of open and loose, it was just another catching point, and it's just like I already have a tag here, so I didn't see a need to have another one. They also said Hēmsut on it, so I cut those off, and it's a cleaner look now, and it's also one less little component for it to potentially catch on the sleeve as well on this side of the strap. And that's basically it. Overall, I mean, I'm trying to remember. I think I said these were roughly around $12 or $13, if I recall correctly. So what the heck? I mean, not bad to try. If not, I don't think they're much over $20. I think I definitely certainly they're under $20. If they're closer to $12 or $13 or so, even better. I can send a link. I forget off the top of my head, but it's relatively inexpensive. But I think there's a cool factor to these. They kind of have that multi-layer look, although the layers are actually relatively thin, especially the main larger, wider one that's on that's against my skin. It gives you that kind of bun strap kind of look to it, which this watch originally came with on a leather one, which I like. but it does add bulk and lifts the watch up. But I've grown to accept that's just the way it is and the look. But I can appreciate and like to try other straps that give a similar vibe. These don't actually pass through underneath the wrist. You can see the end right there. So you still directly watch to skin, and so it keeps it nice and close to without raising the watch at all. But it kind of gives that look that sort of that bun strap-ish kind of look, which I think is kind of cool, and I think it looks appropriate for a style watch like this. Lastly, I was thinking, I don't think I've mentioned this, but you notice that the pushers on these, they work well, but I think proportionately to the size of the case, they are actually kind of on the small side, which is, I thought it was funny at first when I started to notice that how relatively small the pushers are. I mean, even for, this is a 43 millimeter watch, even for a chronograph that's 41 or 40, these are still considered, I would say, kind of on the small side for chronograph pushers. If you've seen like other chronographs, they tend to be like notice to be larger, but it's actually not a problem. They're actually relatively easy to press. I've never found it a problem, and I wear gloves pretty much all day, and sometimes I'll push these just to time my brakes and or whatever. But yeah, it's not been an issue. It's very easily accessible and no problems. But I'm just saying, proportionately, don't you think it's they do look kind of small for the size of the watch, but that's fine. It just keeps them nice and out of the way, but they're just functional enough to be, and accessible enough to be used without any issues, which is great. And I think that's maybe how it should be. You don't need to have excessively large pushers unless you like that style, which I don't mind. They work for me too. But for this, being that the watch is on the larger side anyways, for a pilot watch, which they should be at least on the larger side for the in general, I think I don't mind that some details like this, like the pushes, for instance, are on a particularly smaller side. I guess that's about all I've got to add, and some thoughts about this watch this time. So yeah, I was thinking of selling this, even though I really enjoy this watch, but there is another watch that I wanted to rebuy back, but trading in, it did give you crap for that, and I sort of I knew that from trying that before, and I never really went through with it, except for one watch, but that's another story. But yeah, I mean, basically, whatever you think the market value is, they take a pretty large margin. I mean, they basically half what they think is the sellable value for this thing, or whatever watch that you might have. So you get like less, basically about half of what you think you should be getting if you sold it privately, which shouldn't be a surprise, but it is kind of disheartening that like even as much as a decent amount of watch that you might want to put up for sale is that what you think you should be able to get back, how what. And like if I wanted to trade those in towards one watch, the number of watches that I would have to sell to or trade in to make that happen is really disproportionate. I mean, they really gouge you. I mean, they got to make something, I'm sure, but still, it's just the fact that you pay X amount, and I get you're going to lose money, but you lose even more, of course, when trading in anything. So it's pretty much rubbish even trying to do that, unless you've already accepted it and you don't mind taking the hit. You just want to move stuff and just be on your way, and you have the means to make the next purchase without it phasing you, and not even have to trip about how much you lost on the last watch. More power to you. I wish I was like that, but this I think me and probably many others aren't quite in such a luxurious position to just kind of say whatever to the money loss, take whatever I get and just move, put that, and I'll put in whatever else. No, I can't do that. I mean, this and for instance, my SLA 077, this is about a $3,600 watch, which I think still, I think if I sell it, should command a decent value if I'm patient. I'm not trying to gouge anyone, but I think for a fair price, I'm imagining this should be, I would hope to get at least $3,000 back, and I would price it accordingly, especially if I'm selling on eBay, which will take their nice finder's fee or whatever you want to call that for listing it on their site. But it is convenient, and there are a lot of benefits to that, I'll say. And my SOA, that's almost a $3,000 watch too. And I figure, okay, not chronograph and whatnot, but I think hopefully we'll get at least 2, maybe a smidgen over, so like a 5. But then they want to offer about half of that, about $2,500. I was like, no way, that's just too low. I couldn't. I would have to kick my own ass if I did that, and that just made me sick if I had done that. Just to like how much of a loss that was, because I wanted to really get this one watch that they have back in. It's like, I just got to be patient and either sell these and at the best value that I think I can get for them, and take it when I get it. Otherwise, if it doesn't happen, I'll find another means to get that watch that I wanted to get back. Yeah. So just something food for thought for those who are maybe in the same position. It's like it's easy to get swept up in, the moment of just like, I just really want this or this. These other ones I also don't, especially if you're in a position where you want to keep everything, but you can't. And so you got to make those sacrifices. And then it's like, okay, well, I sort of want to go this route, but then again, I don't. I don't know. I'm kind of babbling on here for sure. But, these are the stuff that I have to think about all day because I work on my own. And so while I'm working, I'm trying to figure out what can I do to make certain other watches happen without, making too many hard sacrifices. And it's tough. And the best thing is just to find a way to save up. But, with what's going on, even to get back to something that's cost this, but I'm looking at something that costs quite significantly more. That's going to take a while, and I really don't want to wait that long either. So we'll see. It's an ongoing journey and process to kind of figure out how and when things will stay and when others might come in. So here's another look at wrist shots. My 7-inch wrist, 43mm watch. Lug to lug is, you might, given it's 43, and some people might be scared to wear something that's, I think this is at least 50, probably over that lug to lug, but they do curve down nicely, and the overall like case thickness, or I would say kind of its thinness. I mean, it is, I think the measurements do show it to be close to roughly more or less around 15mm, but it's just all that thickness is spread out because of the 43, which that is kind of a benefit of having a larger watch. It doesn't look visually as large. I mean, if this was like even a 40 or 39, it would look really chunky, even though it would be the exact same thickness, right? But just that's the height will just show up that much more. And I think they did a pretty decent job of subdividing or dividing the case so that it's just overall doesn't look even nearly that thick. Most of it kind of sinks into the wrist underneath with the case back. The mid case is relatively slim, and then you've got the bezel, and of course the crystal is kind of partially boxed and semi domed, very, very, very slight, and that's part of the height, but that pretty much visually disappears, right? Crystals, you take them into account, but then again, in the end, you kind of don't, because you really don't really see them when they're on the wrist. So I'd say if you give anyone any measurements, you give it the full crystal to the case back, but give another measurement of just maybe like the top of the bezel or case or whatever that might be to the back, or maybe even just to where you start to lose visuals on the case. That might be like you can give them the visual measurements, what it looks like on wrist. You say it could be 15 actual, but maybe 12 point something or 13 visually. And that's useful information. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'm going on long enough. I need to finish up my day and clean up and enjoy this and think about what I can do to get that other watch. That right now it's going to be temporarily on the back burner until I have to devise another plan. All right, later, enjoy your watches. Try not to spend too much money on it. I know it's easy to kind of get into that trap of just keep spending, rolling things over, and losing that money, but then just kind of rolling with it. And then before you know it, you don't want to think about how much you spent out at the end of how many days or years, not wouldn't be days, how many years you might have been doing this for. But yeah, just try to keep it cool and enjoy it. And thanks for watching. Later.